Hello, everybody, and welcome to the South Florida Power BI user group. My name is Adriano, your host, and today we have a very exciting presentation. You're going to be learning about Power BI, Python, machine learning, classification, and a lot of great technologies here today with Gabriel Gomez. Now, before we get started, please make sure that if you have any questions, use the live chat during our presentation. And we will follow up during the transition periods. We will be answering your questions. Now, if you have any questions, after the completion of the presentation, you can use the comments below, just right below here, enter your questions and I will relay to the presenter and so he can get you an answer. So another exciting offer is you have an opportunity for a chance to win free book, Machine Learning in Power BI with R and Python by Gabriel Gomez and Pablo Moreno. So you'll be watching the presenter today, presenting on exciting topics about machine learning. You can come back in on May 11th. Gabriel is going to be back here doing another presentation for us. And at the end of that presentation, we'll be doing a raffle. So I will share the link to the form for you to fill out for the book in the live chat as well as in the comment section below. Now, before we get started, remember, like, subscribe, click the bell, get a notice when we post new videos. And now, without further ado, I bring you in Gabriel Gomez. Hello, Gabriel.
Hello, thank you, Adriano, for having me in South Florida Power BI user group. I am happy to be here.
Likewise, Gabriel, and thanks for being here with us, giving us some of your time to share your great knowledge here on some awesome technologies here along with integrating with Power BI.
You're welcome.
Now, as we start here, can you tell us where are you located at?
I am in Panama, Central America.
All right, so Gabriel is in Panama. I'm in South Florida. Where are you guys at? Let us know your location here on the live chat. All right, Gabriel, can you tell us a bit about yourself? What
Sure.
have you been doing? How was your journey?
Well, I think I can have a separate meeting to just speak about me. But in short words, I would like to let you know that I am a software developer, a professional. But during the time, I have been learning to do analysis, and I have been learning to use different tools like Power BI, Python, R, and combining all those tools to get wonderful results through machine learning. Then I am not just the owner of the book Adriano mentioned, but also I have a magazine, a technological magazine, in which I share information about different topic related data. And also I am one of the organizer of the Power BI user group in Panama. This is something that I want to share with the community.
Awesome. So I will check it out and I will get is that magazine shared over online?
Yes,
Or
at
is
this
it the email newsletter a person can go?
it is not it is actually online but in Spanish version. And if you want also learn Spanish, we can share with everyone.
Sure, please do so. We will enter the magazine URL here on the description below.
Sure.
So for those who are Spanish speaking or can, leverage some Google Translate and,
Yes, that
and
works.
access it, but definitely we want to see that.
Yeah.
Also, can you tell us just a little bit? I know you talk more about the presentation, as you start, but just a little bit about the presentation.
Sure, I want to keep this simple because I understand that the not everyone have the same level of experience with machine learning. And basically, I will start with concepts of related machine learning and classification. I will offer some advice for you to start working on machine learning projects. And then I will show an example related customer satisfaction surveys. Well, I have prepared something in Jupyter Notebook for you to guide you through the step that probably you need to have into consideration, and we'll finalize with Power BI Desktop, how to integrate Python code into Power BI. It is what I have prepared.
Very exciting. Very exciting here. Before we get started, we have Adi from Maryland. That's USA. And we also have Anthony. Actually, like Anthony's like my neighbor just north of me here in Florida.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, hey, Adi and Anthony, thanks for being here with us. And now, folks, without further ado, are you ready, Gabriel?
Yes, I am ready.
All right, you get some slides. We're going to start with a slide, or?
Yes, I am going to share my screen.
All right, we just got MK here from Orlando. Wow, Florida is like representing here. Thanks for joining us, MK. I don't see your slide yet here, Gabriel.
Okay.
You're sharing the screen with the two of us.
Here
There
we
we go. All
Yes.
right. All right, folks. Without further ado, here you have Gabriel. It's all you, Gabriel.
Thank you again for having me here to present something related machine learning. Uh, we are going to combine today Python code with Power BI. Then the first thing I am going to talk about is the concept of machine learning, because sometimes we tend to confuse what is machine learning. And well, that now that we are going to learn something about this topic, it is important to mention that sometimes we confuse machine learning with predictive analytics. And the predictive analytics is like an effort that people do in order to see what will happen in the future if the same behavior with the data continue. Then machine learning also use some type of techniques related to resolve issues. But the idea with machine learning is that we want to deploy a model into production that other people can use. It means that we will give the capability to the computer to understand the data and predict future values. The idea with this is that the computer keep learning constantly with new data that comes. Then in machine learning, there are different type of models. Some of them are supervised, or other are not supervised. And supervised means that we need to keep an eye on the model because drastic change into the data can affect a future prediction. Then that is machine learning. Why we apply machine learning? Because it helps to reduce risk, financial risk, for example. Also, machine learning helps to make early decisions because we are predicting something that will happen in the future based on the historical data, right? Then it will give us the capability to understand now what may happen in the future. That's why we said that it helps to make early decisions. Also helps to improve operational improvement in this case, and detect cross-selling opportunities. It is related more to sales department because machine learning can be done in different areas. For example, classification, which is the topic that we will talk about today. Also, regression and association models. When you need to understand a cross-selling, you need to see what will happen if I position this product, what other product can be positioning, because when I sell, for example, cell phones, people will also purchase like covers for that cell phones. Then we can cross sell those products. Then applying machine learning, we can understand that type of behaviors. Now, in the world of machine learning, one of the type of models we can create is classification. Let us keep the classification concept very basic. Classification is something that you want to determine a category. Let us give you an example. If we want to understand if the animals that we want to evaluate is a dog or is a cat, you first need to understand what is a dog, because in classification you can evaluate binary variables. What is a binary? A one or zero. Let us ask this question: is this animal a dog or is this animal a cat? It means that depend of the answer you want to answer, the question, sorry, you want to answer, that binary will be yes or will be not. Then our example here in my screen is this animal a cat? The animal in the top, right? In the upper top corner. Visually, we will say, no, it is a dog. Obviously, it is a dog because we are also watching the characteristic of the dog. But how the computer understand that this is a dog? Because we need to offer the computer or the model some characteristics. In machine learning, we call those characteristics variables. Then now I will say variable instead of characteristics, okay? Then we need to offer some variables to the model to let the model understand if it is a dog or in this case a cat, sorry, or not. What variables? Probably the ears, the nose, the size of the animal, the skin of the animals, the blood probably is different in cats versus dog. Then what characteristics or what variables make a cat different than a dog? It is important because when you add new data to your model, you will want to predict if the animal is a cat, and then validating all the characteristics, what you expect is that the model say a yes or not. That's the expected result, a yes or not. That's why I say that we are evaluating here binary variables, because the results will be a binary, yes or not. And it will help us to understand future predictions in our data. My example is related to predicting customer satisfaction surveys, a very interesting topic. I don't know if you manage uh, customer satisfaction surveys in your area, but obviously it will depend of the business area you work on. Because if you work on an insurance company, probably the type of behavior of the customer will be different than customers for a company that sells cell phones, for example. Probably the what customers are expecting are different, the expectation from them. Then in that way, you also need to ask the proper question. But the question will be in the next slide. Now, I want to offer some advice before you start working on machine learning projects, okay? The first advice I want to give you is that you need to have clear or objectives. What I mean, sometimes we we are happy because we start working on machine learning projects. but we don't know what is our objective, what we want to resolve. There should be a question, do you need to get an answer? Then having clear objective will help you to be accurate in the objective you are looking for. And also it helps you that offer or look for a sponsor, because if you don't know what you want to resolve, probably people will say, hey, I don't understand why you are applying machine learning. It is not necessarily. We don't need machine learning at this moment. Try to focus on your daily job. You don't need to use machine learning. But if you have a clear objective, probably it will help you to look for sponsors that will open the doors for you to get access to the data, which is my second advice. What variables do you need to solve the problem? Yes, the variables, because talking about customer satisfaction and turning back to my first comment when I said that the customer depend on the business you manage, then it's exactly that. What are the feedback provided by the customers why they say that are not satisfied? Why customers say, I am not happy with the support. I am not happy with how the person provide me the answer. He take too long to answer an email. The person was rude, and a lot of other factors that can affect the customer satisfaction. Then you need to understand how your customer behaves first, and then you need to select what variables will help you to understand the customer behavior. The third advice is you need to get this answer. Have you access to the variables? Yes, because when we offer demonstrations or demos online, you will see that my data set is clean, my data set is organized, my data set probably don't have null values, my data set don't have different type of value. When I say type of value, is a, a character or number in the same variable. Then it means that my data set is clean right now. The example I will provide you is very clean, but it is not the real time for most of the people when they start working with machine learning projects, because the first inconvenience they face is that they don't have access to the data. They don't have access because IT keep that very restrictive, because for probably security reasons, or because you are not the person that have the proper rights to get access to finance information, for example. Then this is very important. Have you access to the variables? If you don't have access to the variables, probably you cannot apply your machine learning model, but you can start work with what you have right now. Don't expect to have every single variable to have your model complete. Probably with the variable you have access to will help you to start with a mock-up and then look for a sponsor. But the final recommendation is look for a sponsor, because it is not easy to be touching doors in order to let people give you the data. But if you have a sponsor, it will be easier. If the vice president of the company say, hey, provide the data to Gabriel because I am leading an initiative and I need that data because he will work on a machine learning model, what do you think? People will run very fast to give me the information. Then having a sponsor will facilitate a lot of effort from your side. Then if you follow those recommendations, probably you will have a step um, in order to give your or complete your machine learning model. And now let me start talking about the predicting customer satisfaction survey. Remember that those variables that I have here are six variables, but it depends on your business. Okay, this is very important. Probably these variables that I have selected do not apply to your business because your customer behave differently than my customers. Then it is very important understand your business first before you select your variables because it will help you to have more accurate predictions. Okay, then my first variable will be documentation provided because it is important for customers to get access to documentations to read what will be the possible solution to their questions, not just in the current interaction, but also for future interaction. Then having documentation or providing that documentation to the customer will be important. The second thing I consider will help me into my model will be if the case was escalated. I just imagine that this is an scenario of a company that sells cell phone and there is a tech support department that fix issue with the cell phones and customer call to report issue with their cell phones. Okay, this is the type of company I am analyzing right now. Then my second um, my second variable is escalated case. When the customer reach out for support and you don't answer the question from the customer asks for escalation, asks for a manager, asks for a second level engineer support because you was not resolving their issue. Probably that will affect the satisfaction when you send the survey. That's why I select this one, escalated case. The third one is in-time response, something that affect everyone, not just the customer calling to the cell phone company, but everyone is when you send an email to someone and you don't receive the answer on time. It happened in your house when you speak with your children or your wife or your husband and you ask for something and they take too long to answer. We try to get that answer as soon as possible, right? As soon as possible. Then the customer is the same. If you send an email and you don't receive the answer quickly or at least in the SLA expected, then the customer will be waiting for that and will be probably angry. That's it as an indicator of dissatisfaction. Other variable that I can mention is days to resolve. If you call, uh, we live in a world that we cannot be without our cell phones. Cell phone is part of our life, and I cannot imagine people without cell phones probably start turn to be crazy because they need a cell phone. We need a cell phones. Then imagine that you are 30 days without cell phones because it is on because you reported that was not working and the engineer that was helping you with the issue took 30 days to answer or resolve your issue. Probably at that moment you will be in the hospital because without cell phone people we have a very hard life. Then uh, this can be an indicator of dissatisfaction. The other variable is case reopen. I have seen sometimes people saying, "Hey, you closed my case and you never answer to me. Why you close my case? Open it right away." Then it happened, and sometimes people are very angry for that. And the last variable I selected can be more than six, depending of the type of information you manage. But the sixth one is product with defect. When you purchase a product, a cell phone, you don't expect to receive a product with defect. You expect to receive a product very working and without defect. That means that if you have a product, I don't know how will happen in United States. Probably you will go to the store and ask for a new one, right? But in other countries, you don't receive a new one. You need to wait for the provider to solve the issue of your cell phone, and then you will have a cell phone repair. Then probably customer will not be happy for that. Uh, with that said, we have a couple of variables that will help us to create our model. Then, what I want to give you with this section is start thinking in what variables will help you to predict your model. What variable will help you to understand if the customer will be satisfied or dissatisfied. To continue with our example, we will separate the satisfaction and dissatisfaction in two. Let me say that if you ask a question to the customer saying, hey, how satisfied was you with the support? Then the customer can give you one if they were satisfied and zero if were not. Then later you will find the other six variables that will complement why the customer was not satisfied with the data. Okay. Um, Before continue, I want to know if there is any question at this point, because now I am going to show Jupyter Notebook.
There are no questions so far.
Okay, excellent. If you have questions, just remember to ask through the channel. Then here, okay, I'm going to focus specifically in the classification model, okay? Because our objective is to validate if the customer that have a case open right now may score our survey with a dissatisfaction, okay? Then using Python, we use something called um, libraries. Libraries will help us to use a segment of codes that will complement what we are doing. Those libraries can be used for clean data, for apply machine learning techniques, and a lot of different things, or for visualizations as well. The libraries can be helpful for that. Then the first thing we are going to do is to call our libraries. I don't want to give you too much information because I think it will take too long. But in overall, yes, you first need to call your libraries. The second step is to read the file. In this example, the information is in a CSV file that I have prepared. I remove the the root the path into my computer just because for security reasons. But here you will paste the path of your file if it is CSV, but you can also have the option to read from a database or from other sources, because I am using right now Jupyter Notebook, but there are a lot of different notebooks that you can use, or you can prepare a stronger solution using tools like SQL, because now SQL accept Python code. Then you can have a stronger solution at that end instead of using Jupyter Notebook. But for learning process, I consider it is very valuable. Practicing with CSV files or Excel files. Then in summary, my second step will be reading my data set. Then using this code, because this code came from the library I already code. Panda is a library that will help me read some type of codes. And I am assigning the data set. Data set will be represented for all this code. I am assigning my data set to this variable called surveys. The next step will be this one. No, I was just playing with my code, and this is a correlation matrix that is commonly used for regression analysis or regression models, due that we are working on classifications, we don't want to evaluate this correlation. Then the next action, I am not going to execute this because, as you may know, depending on the amount of data you have in your data set, your computer will turn slow because need to read one by one of the lines and then analyze what type of data you have. We usually in a data set we have numeric values and also we have words, right? If you have a variable that contains words, that variable is called a categorical feature. Here we have categorical feature because the model don't understand letters. The model don't understand letters because we are working with mathematics. We are working with statistics. But my model understand that we have a categorical variable. And what will do my model with categorical variables? It will turn that category into numeric variable. How that happen? For example, if we have in a data set a category of animals, like for example, dog, cat, and elephant. Let me only mention three: dog, cat, and elephant. When the model identify that this is a categorical variable that contains three different values, the model will translate that into numbers and will assign, for example, 1 to dogs, 2 to cats, and 3 for elephants. Then at the end, as much as value you have in a categorical value, the model needs to translate all those value and will make the model big, which means that in this case, depending on the amount of line you have in your model, it can take longer. Okay, this is very important to understand because sometimes we start trying to play with the data and we don't understand why my model is slow, but probably it's because you have too many categorical variables in your data set. Then here in this step, I am calling my uh, PyCaret classification info because I am using PyCaret. PyCaret is a library that contains a lot of valuable machine learning I mean, yes, code for you to start working with. I can compare PyCaret with a video game, for example, because when you use a video game, you don't see all the code that is behind the video game. Behind that effort, a lot of programmers were programming in order to give you a great experience with the video games. But here with PyCaret, we only see a very short code. But behind that code, there are a lot of code that have been created or designed for us to keep it simple for us. But for the people that work on that, probably was a little harder. Then here we can call the classification in PyCaret. By the way, all this information is in the book that we have the raffle for the book, but you can also get access to the book. I will mention this at the end of the presentation, but we have a lot of different examples about how to implement machine learning techniques and model using PyCaret as well, and other type of codes. Very simple. After you call this classification for PyCaret, you need to assign in a new variable called satisfaction, something that we call the setup. The setup is how do you want to organize your model. In this case, I am explaining my model to read the information in the survey variable that I already defined in the here. Survey contain my data set, and below, yes, here. And below, I am just calling my data set here. and ignoring some features, because you can also decide what feature in your data set, what variable can be considered and what not. I am excluding some specific variables that I don't consider will be important in the prediction. I will say my or identify my target variable, which is satisfaction. Then remember that I was explaining one by one of the variables that I had on my model, the 6 different variables, where there is an additional variable called satisfaction that will get the value if the survey was satisfied or not. In this case, it's a binary variable. Okay, how the machine learning for classification works. We usually, well, yes, usually, because it is the process, divide the data set in two. One part of the data set will be used for training, the training set, and the other will be for test set. It means that we will have a data set for training and we will have a data set for test. Why for training? Because you need to give your model the enough knowledge to understand when it is dissatisfaction and when a survey is satisfied. A survey is satisfied, sorry. When your model learned to understand the different combinations when a satisfaction happen, then you will validate this knowledge from your model with the second set called test set, because you will use the knowledge of your model and will apply into the set, and you will see how well your model predict the information in your test data set. In that moment, something very specific happened. We will have enough information to understand how well or bad was our model. How well or bad was our model. Then here in using PyCaret, we can compare models. We have different type of models here that have been recorded on this function called compare model. And you will get in the top, every one of those columns represent a measure for that model. For example, the accuracy will validate how well your model predict the values. Remember that you have a test data set, right? And you have your train data set. And you, with your train data set, your model learn, and now the model understand what is a satisfaction and dissatisfaction survey. When you apply that into the test data set, then you now have enough information to understand if the model predict correctly your values. That's what accuracy means. How satisfaction were predicted correctly and how many dissatisfaction were predicted correctly. The sum of the, those two values, sorry, the satisfaction and dissatisfaction predicted correctly divided for the amount of surveys you were evaluating will give you the accuracy. Then the first model called ADA Boots classifier have an accuracy of 95%, which means that almost 5% were predicted incorrectly, which is acceptable, because depending of the type of problem you are trying to solve, that accuracy will be good or will be bad. 95% will be good or will be bad depending of the type of um, problem you are trying to solve. If it is something related health, probably you will want an accuracy higher than 95%. But talking about customer satisfaction, it is not that specific or complicated to have an accuracy of 95%, which means that we are okay having that score. Then the next step is to just create your model. Once you define what of those model will work for you, what offer more a better statistic for you, then you will decide, for example, I can use ADA or I can use LR, which is logistic regression. And then you will set your new model with the specific model that you selected in the top, right? And store that information in the variable called sat, which is the meaning of satisfaction. And then um, I will save my model already trained, already validated into my computer because I will call that model into Power BI. Then when I am in this phase, when I am going to save my model, it means that I am pretty sure that my model works as expected, that my model is giving me enough information to make it like confident. I can then share with other people my model because I confirm that my model is working as expected. Then, in order to do in this point, I need to do the other previous step, right, including the other that I have not mentioned, because I don't think I will have enough time. But there are a lot of other validation you can do in order to make sure that your model is working fine and don't have other type of behavior like overfitting, underfitting, and a lot of more. I know it is technical information, but probably in the future we can continue working talking about that. Or if you get access to the book, probably you can also learn a little bit about those concepts. Now that I am ready with my model saved on my computer, then I am going to open my Power BI desktop. I am going to show you the code here, but I will show you the result here. The reason for that is because in this one, I have access the path to my computer just to make sure that I don't show something that is not related to the presentation. Then, yes, the first action for me here is to load my my file that contains the data I want to predict. Remember that when I was working on my model, I have two different type of data set. I separate or divided my data set in test and also a training data set, where two. But that data set is in the past because now that I deploy my or save my model, I can use new data to predict. I mean, I will load new data. For example, this is clean data. This data was not in the other file that I use for training and test. But the good thing here, or well, you should make sure that the name of the variables are the same than in your model, because when you load the model and it identify a new column that is not in the initial model, it will fail. That is very important. You need to have the same amount of variables in your model than in your new data set. Well, then in order to apply my code, I load or I add a new step called run Python script. Python script will contain the instruction to read the model from my computer and apply that to my new data set, of this, for example. This is what I am referring to. I call my classification for PyCaret, and then I read my model with this instruction, load model in this location. And then I use this function, predict model, and I say, okay, predict model that are in named. Then is the name of the model that I am loading, and apply the model to my data set. Data set is the information I load from the Excel file, which is new. And then after I click OK, let us see now if it loads, because let me see if I have not the, okay, let us wait a little bit for, great. Then after my model evaluate every one of the values in the new data set, it will offer two additional columns. One, by default, it is called label. Label contains the prediction. One is a good survey, and zero is a bad survey or dissatisfaction. And the score is how near to one it was, or how near to zero that score was. Because it determines uh, the score, right? If it is good or bad. Then every one of the variables you use here will make your model stronger or weak. Because if you don't include relevant information here, probably your model will not be too much accurate, or will offer information that is not valuable. For me here, for example, I predict 4 surveys that may be, as I say, may be dissatisfaction. Then my action will be pay attention to those customers to see what is going on with them, and how action can I follow in order to avoid a dissatisfaction. Because when you work with customer satisfaction survey, the idea is to just uh, act on time, be proactive, and avoid dissatisfaction from the customer, and have the proper conversations. And then probably your customer will change the way they see your company. I don't know if you have any question. That's the way I combine Python code using uh, Power BI. The next step here will be just load the data into Power BI Desktop. If you want to create some visuals to reference how many customers, depending of the department, what customer type it is, the region, you can also offer that information. And after that, you can deploy your model into production. And production can be different things. Can be Amazon Web Services, can be any space in a Google Colab or other source, can be also Power BI service, in which you will maintain this model, and then you will deploy the results, and people will use the results and validate that. Or in some other cases can be created a model into SQL, and you as a user only will consume the data and don't need to do anything here. But that's why I say it will depend of the maturity of your company, also what is the best solution for you. Adriano, I don't know if someone have any question, any comment.
No, I don't see a question here. It's all you there.
Excellent. Well, this is a presentation I prepare for everyone. I hope it would be clear. Again, if you have questions later when you process all this information, you can ask me those questions, and I will be more than happy to answer. Okay. Now you can take the presentation back, Adriano.
All right, folks. Here we have Gabriel showing. I know it's a lot of information there, but I see that he broke down brought it up to a good high level to simplify so everybody can digest, easier there because it is, when you look at machine learning, Power BI, Python, it's a lot to digest. Really like the examples, the Jupyter notebook illustrating the different steps that you go through there, Gabriel. That is, really awesome there.
Exactly. We in the book we
Yeah,
have a lot of information for people to start learning. We have data sets, we have recommendations. It is very complete for people that wants to start learning.
yes, I just put it over here on the screen, the book Machine Learning in Power BI with R and Python. That's from Gabriel Gomez and Pablo Moreno here, the authors, folks. And in about a couple weeks, May 11th, you will have a chance to be the winner, one of the winners for the raffle. I also placed the raffle right here, and for you to uh, register to the raffle here, folks. So just check out the live chat. I will also add to the description so you can enter there. Now, if you also have a question, remember, use the live chat while we are here for the next few minutes. After that, use the comment section below and drop your question. So, Gabriel, we have a couple questions here. We have first, MK says, great presentation.
Thank you.
And we have Francisco. Hello, Francisco. Thanks for joining. We have, do you mind sharing the code?
Yeah,
So,
yes, the code. Yes, let
is
me
it in the
prepare.
book, the code, or what is
Yes,
that?
it is in the book. The basic
It's
code,
in,
yes.
okay.
Let me see
So,
what I
see,
can share with the people here in the session. I will let you know, Adriano, for you to share with
yes, very well. Very well, folks. So, what else? So if they wanna the code here, if you wanna keep it just small, the group, what I'm gonna do is like whoever enter the book raffle, we can send them, we can email them the code here for today's presentation. Fair
yes.
enough, or whatever the materials you can share. Okay,
Yeah. I
fair
think I
enough.
can.
So, mhm.
Yeah. No, I will validate if I have something that I cannot share before I send to you, and then the
All
rest
right,
is most of the information that I presented here is a free code. It's in the internet they can find. Then I am happy to share what I have presented today.
all right, folks. So we can send you just uh, drop a comment, let us know here, and we will follow up with you. All right. But remember, like the video, like, drop a comment there. We'll follow up with you here on the materials here. All right. And Anthony saying, well done. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
And Francisco, thanks a lot for the great presentation. Hey, thanks for being here, Francisco. Appreciate your help here as well. Adi saying, thank you very much. This was great. Absolutely. Great present. I agree 100%, Adi. Great presentation here by Gabriel there, and laying out in a way that it's can be useful in different platforms where you can leverage your Power BI there. Right, Gabriel?
Right, exactly.
All right, folks. Anything else there you want to add, Gabriel?
No, just if you have question, just let me know. Purchase the book if you want. If not, I am happy. I'm just sharing what I presented. I'm also a member of a community of data. I am always sharing information with everyone. It is my passion. Then if you have questions, or again, just let me know.
Yes, indeed. The Panama Power BI user group, folks. I can't recall if I have a link over here, but I will double check and I will enter the link of the community where Gabriel is also one of the organizer folks. So come check them out. They always have some great content, great presentations there from insightful presenters as well. And you saw him today as an example of the caliber of presenters you will come across at the Panama Power BI user group.
Right, right.
And
I am
don't go ahead.
I am pasting here in the chat, in private chat, the link for the Panama Power BI user group.
Oh, awesome. Let me put it right here. All right, folks, I'm gonna do is place it right here in the chat right now. Okay, 2 seconds, folks. All right, there it is. So, folks, remember, join the Power BI Panama user group. Sorry, the HTTP, I don't know what happened, gets really out together there. But anyway, you can see the URL there. I will also enter the URL here on the description of this video. Let me take a note here so I do not forget. All right, folks. And remember to join, like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you can get the latest updates there from the channel. How about you, Gabriel? Any last minute announcements?
No, I think we are good.
All right, folks. With that, I say thank you all for making the time to be here with us on this presentation by Gabriel Gomez. And Gabriel, thank you very much for being here with us, sharing your knowledge on machine learning, Power BI, Python. We also talk about Jupyter Notebook, PyCarrots, and the book, folks. Check out the book. In 2 weeks on May 11th, we will have the drawing. So do not hesitate. Check out the description below. I'll put the link to the book and link to the Panama, to the Power BI Panama user group as well, and a lot of the great information we talked today. With that, say good night, y'all. Have a
Bye.
great
Thank you.
one, and thank you for joining the group. See you all on May 11th. Right here, Gabriel will be presenting another magnificent presentation here, folks. Have a good night. See you all.
Bye.